gosh, today we are so pleased to welcome Jamar Odwin. Jamar is a graphic artist, he's an entrepreneur, he's the co founder of the popular odBo brand, a lifestyle brand. Welcome, Jamar. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having
I
me.
have to tell everybody at the start, I met Jamar years ago. And at the time, I was trying to start my little t shirt brand. And I was so inspired by this young man who was way and leaps ahead of what I was doing. So I'm very glad to catch up with him now after all these many, many, many years. Yes? You remember that, Jamar?
It's true. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I think I was doing the
Yes,
MVP.
that's correct. So, Jamar, let's jump in. I have my whole list of questions today. But what inspired you to start your own clothing and lifestyle brand? Tell us about odBo, and I am very curious as to where that name came from.
All right. So I think what happened was at the end of fifth form when I had to make the decision if I'm gonna go sixth form or if I'm gonna go to BCC. I was a little hesitant to go to BCC at first because it's like, all right, I'm going out from wearing a uniform every day of the week. What am I gonna wear to BCC? Because I mean, you're studying art, so you want to look good, but you're also cognizant of the fact that you're gonna be doing art, which means your stuff is gonna get dirt, may get dirty, whatever the case may be. So back then it wasn't a lot of options for nice looking, affordable apparel. So I met Daniel, my business, who would later become my business partner, and we started odBo. That's how we really got started. Um, and then a lot of that is thanks to the Barbados Youth Business Trust. They were very supportive at the beginning of our journey, and they were very helpful in terms of getting us to know about like having a business plan and marketing plans, budgets, balance sheets, that sort of stuff. So they were very helpful in that regard. And then I think from there we did our deculture brand, which is our Barbados teas, because we found that the Barbados teas at that time they were pretty boring to say the least. It was happy independence, lots of stuff with just the Barbados flag. So then we started the culture brand so that persons would have a Barbados shirt that you can pretty much wear all through the years in. And I think at that time people thought of the Barbados shirt too as had to be blue, yellow, black. So we kind of broke the mold there, and that's pretty much where we got our feet wet.
Tell me about odBo. What does that mean?
Okay, so when I first started, the name I had for the brand, kind of before I went to BCC, I was doing shirts while I was at Queen's College. I did some shirts for the track team, the volleyball team, and so I had used Odwin designs at the time. But when I met Daniel, thought to myself, Odwin was, yeah, it was cool being my last name, but then we had a project while we were at BCC, some projects at BCC where you had to brand yourself as a musical artist. So I kind of just gave some thought to all of the nicknames I had back when I was at secondary school, and I landed on odBo. At that point in time, the spelling was ODBOIH, but along the lines then as other projects developed while we were at community college, we dropped one of the D's and kind of made the logo a little more modern, and then we figured, all right, cool. So by the time we started odBo, there was a logo already existing. We had some shirt design, so we went with odBo as the name for the
Wow.
brand.
I, I I didn't actually put a connection odWin, odBo. Okay, I see
Yeah.
the journey now. So tell me, what do you think, Jamar, sets this brand apart? I know it's very well known here in Barbados. What sets it apart from other clothing and accessory brands in your mind?
All right. So for me, I was given some thought to what sets it apart, and I think it's kind of like when you watch even cooking competitions. If you give five contestants the same ingredients, the same time, they're gonna come up with completely different recipes and products at the end of the day. So at the end of, to me, every brand in Barbados is unique in its own way in terms of the shirts, the designer made source, the thought process, what inspires them, how they put colors together. So for me, every brand is unique in that way. But for us, we find our inspiration in everything. Even the shirt I'm wearing, this wasn't originally meant to be a t-shirt design. When Daniel came up with this one, it was actually some packaging that we got to use for our shirts, and from there it became a design for our slides, and then it became a t-shirt design. So we're even inspired by ourselves, and I think a lot of why odBo is still here is because of our persons that like to call themselves our unofficial brand ambassadors, persons that are wearing our stuff often, and so much so that people actually end up asking them if it's their brand, and they find pride in that, and knowing that they've built such a connection with us that they're kind of like, as I said, unofficial sales reps. I actually have a customer that I met. Well, haven't met her in person, through another customer. I haven't met her in person as yet, but I think she probably has more slide straps than I do, and that's saying a lot because it's a person that I've never directly interacted with. She doesn't necessarily know me personally, but because she has been such a big factor in what we do, I even reach out to her sometimes to say, all right, cool, I got thinking about this new design. What are your thoughts? So it's the relationship that we've always built on Boy from the beginning, where customers become like
Wow,
friends,
this is
family,
great.
and we love
So
on
you
board.
kind of started to answer my next question, because my next question was where your inspiration comes from. And you answered that when you tell me about the teacher, but generally speaking, where you have so many different designs, and where do you come up with these things yourself and your partner?
Well, I like to say we find inspiration in pretty much everything. So if I go back to some of the earlier designs, uh, I was just scrolling through a book that was brought to class by Miss Sten, one of my art teachers when I was at BCC, and it was designs from ancient Mexico. And as I looked at some of the designs, Old Boy was so much in my mind that I could see Old Boy in some of the designs. And that's where our first collection started. We actually call that one Old Boy is Everywhere. Because as I said, we were looking at the designs in the book that she brought us for class. And I was able to see like the Old Boy logo within certain designs. Our most recent collection, one of our more recent collections, we call the Sea Shades collection. It was inspired by just the beach, someplace lots of Barbadians love, and the environment. So, and then like the cliffs. So we had like grays and blacks that represented the cliffside, blues that represented the ocean and the depths of the ocean. So I like to say our inspiration comes from all over. When it comes to some of the colorways for the shirts as well. I go back when I was younger, and lots of sneakers were in the colors of basketball teams. And that's something that I look at now to kind of bring me some inspiration for how I'm putting colors together. Being a sports person, watching sports, you just see things that inspire you to come up with something that's not even related to that particular sport or whatever.
Okay, because both yourself and your partner then are trained artists. That's yes.
Yes, we our bachelor's degree in graphic
Oh
design.
wow. Okay. So that coupled with the environment, because I can even in the shirt you're wearing, I'm seeing the blues of the ocean. And yeah.
Yeah, that's where we got the inspiration for that collection. And the thing about it is, being that it has the blues in it, it's something you can. Now it's November, it's something you can rock. That's, as I said again, Barbadian, but not screaming
Okay.
Barbados.
Because it's our national colors. Okay, I got you. Okay, let me see what's my next question. Okay, how do you think, tell us the year that, first of all, that the brand was launched. How has it grown since then? And what are your long-term goals? What do you see in the future for odBo?
Okay, so when we first started, it was mostly, at that point in time, it was
Yeah.
mostly t-shirts. Shortly after that, we added the snapback hats. Funny enough, I can't say the last day we actually did a snapback hat because persons are now into what you call the dad
What
hat.
is that on your
A lot.
head?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, right. So this one will be a dad hat. It's one of our two-tone hat. Yeah, a dad hat, dad cap, regular cap. It has so many different names. Uh, from there, we added. We did. I think next would have probably been the hoodies. We've added tumblers, water bottles, slides. So we're more recently we did some varsity jackets, which you would be familiar when you're watching shows that have like high school sports in it, and you see the guys with their varsity jackets with the big school letter that represents the school on the left side. We did some of those recently, but the slides are definitely what a lot of people have taken into and are insulated tumblers. Let me just,
For those of us of my generation and up, can you tell us what is a slide, Jamar?
oh, sorry. So, so slides
Ah,
are the name for
yes.
slippers.
Oh, gorgeous.
Some on slippers, slides, sliders. Yeah.
Wow.
So long term goals, be as much as we've gotten to the point where brick and mortar stores are slowly dwindling. I would like to still at some point in time have an odd boy location that's more than just an odd boy store. It's like a cultural experience where different entrepreneurs can come and play their trade as well, where persons can get to try various local treats. That's something that we try as much as possible to work with various entrepreneurs so that when persons buy products from us of a certain amount, we give them a little treat from some of the different entrepreneurs, which will start Selena's Gourmet Creations when we were at AnimeCon, where persons that bought stuff from us, we give them like tamarind balls, sugar cakes from Selena's. That has developed into hot sauce from Hot Steppers, some young local entrepreneurs. And it's funny enough that I'm saying young, huh? But young local who make various flavored hot sauces. So tamarind, mango, pineapple. We've done rum punch with liquid chefs. More recently, we did chocolates with Gems Gourmet Chocolates. And we're supposed to be getting some popsicles as well from Happy Treats. So basically what we do is we actually go to these entrepreneurs, purchase the stuff directly at the price they're selling them at, because at the end of the day, they're entrepreneurs as well. So we're not just trying to promote them in terms of giving out stuff to persons who may not have known about their companies, their brand, but we want to support them as well.
Okay, that is very commendable. And I like your vision for the future. So you would have your online presence, but also have a presence here in terms of a physical store.
Yeah, because we're definitely very big on Barbadian history. Funny enough, it was something that also developed a lot while I was at community college. My research paper and my major project involved the Channel House as well. So it's a lot of stuff that you don't know. Even when I think now about what children are studying in school, and it's not so much the days where you had to know who was the prime minister, who's the minister of each part. So I want to make sure that we still preserve that history, because so much so now we're knocking down the old child houses, building wall houses, a lot of buildings that have a lot to do with our history. We're blocking them up with cement bricks because we don't want persons going in them unnecessarily. But I think there's a lot of our culture that's slowly eroding, and we want to try to preserve
Okay,
a lot of
that is very commendable. Jamar, so you're not only an artist, but you're an entrepreneur, and that's how I met you. Can you tell me some of the biggest challenges that you have faced as a young entrepreneur, and how did you overcome them? I mean, you're still here. Many businesses come and go. Many small businesses, fall by the wayside. But what were the challenges that you faced, you and your partner, as you built this business, and how did you overcome them so that you are still standing now?
for us. When we first started, one of the biggest problems was actually getting started. Had someone that recommended we visit a certain lending institution. I won't
Yeah.
recall the name. The person they were big. They were big on helping young entrepreneurs, and I think that was when I was transitioning from Queen's College to Barbados Community College, and I filled out the application. The process took a long time, and the thing is about creatives, we have so many ideas. A lot of them we put on paper, probably start to do stuff on the computer, but a lot of us don't know about things from the business end. It's only entrepreneurship is being taught in some of our schools. So I had lots of ideas as an artist, but the business aspect of it I wasn't too familiar with. So I came up with the ideas, I filled out the application, and I think it was probably months later I finally got the call back, and I was hoping, all right, this call means they're willing to help us. We're gonna go forward and kind of actually get the wheels churning. And at that point in time, they called. The lady said, "Sorry, they don't think the business is a viable investment." And as a young person, that broke me. That I was the only thing I probably didn't do at that point in time was cry, because it was something I was looking forward to so much. I came home that evening after community college, went to the phone book, called I probably called every business in the small business section of the phone book, and so many no's, and that's how we landed on the Barbados Youth Business Trust. And I will continue to say that they're a big part of why we're still here, because they took us in, they taught us about business plan, they gave us a mentor, they asked us, all right, so what do you want in our mentor? We said we want someone that's going to actually make us work. As much as a lot of the stuff we don't know, they're not going to spoon feed us. And we got started. And I think a big part of why we're still here is, as I said, the official ambassadors, persons who spread the word of the business via word of mouth. I think they're a big part of why we're still here. And more recently, the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme as well, I can't forget them. I was fortunate enough to do their entrepreneurship training, where I met some other young entrepreneurs. Some of them still very in close contact with, even one that her business was insurance as well. And in meeting each other, we never saw each other as competitors. We fostered a very close relationship, and even to
Okay.
this day.
All right. Thank you, Jamar. And you mentioned you kind of have an official brand ambassador. So how else do you market your brand, generally speaking?
It's mostly via social media. That's how we mostly do it. Social media being our Instagram, which is at odBoy, which is odBoih. Uh, very very active on WhatsApp as well. Reach us there as well. 246 is the area code. 245-4802. And normally at Independence Time as well, you can get our shirts from Sneakerheads on Broad Street. Unfortunately, we haven't restarted our Barbados shirts as yet. We've gotten a lot of people asking if we were doing any shirts this year, but it was not in our plans, and we are constantly looking to improve our product in terms of the feel of our t-shirts, the prints as well. So we're hoping to have those back by next year, but that's about it for now in terms of
Okay.
very good
So
brands.
mainly social media and word of mouth and networking and so on and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, there was actually some promotion that wasn't necessarily planned. A friend of mine asked me to speak to some of her beavers at West Terrace Primary School, and it was about the odBoy brand, because they were doing a badge where they have to speak to persons in their community. So we talked to them about the brand as much as their little brains could take. Then kind of color some t-shirts, some hoodies, some pants as well, and then at the end of it, we gave each of the beavers some of our shirts, because now more recently been a trend in schools where the children get to wear a Barbados shirt every Friday of the month of November, and things are still pretty hard in Barbados, especially coming out of COVID. And we know that a lot of parents probably cannot afford to even purchase more than one shirt for the children to wear to school. So we were able to do some giving back there, and some of the parents reached out to us directly. So it wasn't planned to be that way, but we had some stuff that was left over, and we thought that that would be a very good way to do it.
I know I admire you as a young man, Jamar, and have always admired you. So let me ask this question. I know that you have been awarded the title of Emerging Leader Americas at the Duke of Edinburgh International Award. Congratulations, by the way. How has this whole association with that scheme and being titled with this title help you as an entrepreneur, help the business in any way?
Okay, well, unfortunately, my tenure as the emerging leader in the Duke of Edinburgh's Award for the Americas actually ended in October this year. Our term would be a 3-year term, but as a result of COVID, they asked us if we could stay on for a few more years until they figured out how they were gonna bring on the new group of emerging leaders. But I think on a whole, the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award has helped me because you're able to see, like, to help young people through their award in terms of being an assessor, supervisor, and you see them grow. And I think that's one of the things that I've always liked, especially when we go to CAS, which is the Caribbean camp, where gold award persons that are looking to do their gold award from all the region gather in a particular country during the summer of any given year, and you're put in groups where if you're fortunate, there's another person from your country, but more often than not, groups are made up of about 5 to 7 people from different countries, and that's your group for the entire, I think it's a 2-week period, in terms of sometimes you have kitchen duties, you have bathroom duties. That's the group you're going to hike with, for as much as 5 days, and to see how the persons come together as strangers and leave as very tight knit friends at the end of it. And the thing about the Duke of Edinburgh International Award, when it gets to the international council level where I would have served as the emerging leader, the experience of the business persons that have come together to kind of try to figure out how we're going to keep the Duke of Edinburgh International Award going is crazy. And these are people that you may not necessarily have the opportunity to meet as a regular person. So it's something I try to make the most of. And very often when they find out that I have a business, or that I do t-shirts, or I do graphic design, they're very welcoming. So I had the opportunity to design what was called the World Ready discussion papers. The name is actually kind of misleading, but it was actually a book that contains statistics. It was a pretty thick book too, because it was bound together. Sallow stitch, I should say. Sorry, is the correct term. And I had to work with the Duke office, which is based in London. As you would know, that's a completely different time zone. So it's like when I'm up, they're sleeping. When I'm sleeping, they're up. So try to find that balance to kind of send out drafts, get back the information. It was a fantastic experience. I tried not to say much about it when it was presented at Forum in Ghana, but Lou, who was a member from Canada, which is in our region as it relates to Duke of Edinburgh, in doing a talk that had, I think, nothing to do with the discussion papers, just found a way to add into what he was talking about, so that persons there would know that I was the person responsible for the designing of it. It was a little embarrassing, but it was fun as well, because now persons get to understand and know that the young people that are involved in Duke of Edinburgh have many
Wow.
talents beyond just being in Duke.
So it seems like it has presented a lot of networking opportunities for you. Yes, and
That's
even inadvertently, you get to introduce your brand and they get to know you as a graphic artist and as an entrepreneur as well. Oh,
Yes.
this is wonderful. Okay, so you mentioned before that you worked with other entrepreneurs locally, and in your grand scheme for the future, you plan to sell like items from people that make hot sauce, et cetera. But have you also had the opportunity to work with other artists here, perhaps in some of your products and so on, to collaborate with other artists here in Barbados?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first collaboration we have probably done would have been with a brand called Tide Barbados. Another person I met was at community college as well. He does tie dyeing, as kind of the name suggests. So that's probably our first collaboration. Before Tide actually had a brand, and then more recently, I think it was I think our 2021 collection. It was a lot of tie dye stuff, bringing together that brand with some of our more popular designs. And this year, as I said, unfortunately, we didn't offer any shirts, but did the slides. Okay, so these two that we did here, we did this in collaboration with two artists that I love their work a lot, and I reached out to them and I asked them if they'd be interested in coming up with a design for the straps, because our slides actually have straps that you remove. So you can actually purchase one pair of slides and additional straps. So you can have additional straps that you can store if you want, or you can. Some persons prefer to have more than one base. We call it black part. The base. So you got the base and you got the straps. Some, per- some persons like to have more than one option for bases, so they buy multiple bases. But these ones, I reached out to those artists to see if they were interested in working on some straps this year. Something we want to continue. But I think as entrepreneurs, as persons with brands, one of the things we have to really understand is not everyone is going to be willing to work with you. There's not everyone that it makes sense to collaborate with. So you kind of have to find that balance in taking the no's and giving some no's, which is always interesting for entrepreneurs, because you've gotten so many no's that you kind of find it hard then when it's your turn to say no. But as I said, so for a lot of stuff we do as it relates to the Barbados thing, we try to kind of make it Barbadian without screaming Barbados for that person that wants something a little more subtle. So if you look at this one especially, you can see it's Barbados as well. Yeah, so there's Barbados in there. There's a cricket bat and a ball. There's a flying fish. So, and then obviously, well, not sorry. I should not say obviously, because what might be obvious to me is not obvious to someone else. But we have with this one, we have the Pride of Barbados, which is our national flower. So, yeah, so it's something I want to try to continue in terms of working again with these entrepreneurs on some other straps and these artists, some of them are entrepreneurs as well, because they started their own companies as it relates to their art as well. But something I want to continue, because as I said, for me, a lot of my influence, my inspiration comes from brands overseas, and I'm seeing how they're working with artists to collaborate on, whether it be stuff like your Jordans, Nikes, even recently with the NBA launching their new City Edition jerseys, they collaborated with a musical artist to come up with design and inspiration behind some of the jerseys. So it's something I really want to continue to kind of get some different design, because it not only introduces our customers to these artists, but it gives them a different platform for promoting their work
Certainly.
as well.
Okay, so that kind of segues into my next question is, I mean, you got into this, Jamar, coming away from school almost. So, what advice would you give young people now that want to be entrepreneurs, that want to use their gifts and talents to start their own businesses? What general advice would you give to these young people?
I think we should just get started. We so often we're waiting for the right time, and yes, whatever you come up with, it may be a case of persons aren't ready for what you've come up with, and that might dampen your spirit. But the thing about it is, you honestly, I believe that you only fail if you haven't tried. So just get started. It may not work, but at least you can say, I tried something beyond my comfort zone. I was willing to get started. It may fail at this point in time, fail in quotation marks, but somewhere down the line, you may be able to return to that idea and you reap different successes. So I think you should just get started. You don't have to necessarily start big. If you're looking to get into clothing, you don't necessarily need to start with all of the various products that we have here. You may start with a shirt and see how your friends, persons in your neighborhood respond. If you're in school, as I said, we were at community college. We had very little ideas about starting a brand. I think one of our first odBo sales, we were downstairs in where we do 3D stuff, which is in the open area at BCC at Person's Long Morning site. And someone just passed and saw the shirts that we had just gotten back from the screen printer that we used at that point in time. We were just looking at them to see what we had. And someone passed and said, yo, that shirt look real cool. How much for it? Just as simple as that, you know? So as I said, it may not necessarily work how you wanted it at that point, but keep trying. And if you think that the response isn't the one you want, it may just not be the right moment for what you've done, but don't lose hope. You can kind of just have the idea at the back of your mind so that, as I said, as time goes on, it might be an even better time, because a lot of times how our mind works, you come up with something you think is what people need, but they may not necessarily need at that point in time. Further down the road, there may actually be a much better time for you to drop it, and you already sampled it, you have an idea of how it works, how it looks, and you're in a better position to go forward.
Okay, that is great advice, even for the older generation. Just get started. You may tweak along the way.
Got it.
You may have failures, but just keep going and tweak as you see the need arise. Yes?
Yeah, actually, before I kind of come off of that, if I take it back to Nicola, the entrepreneur I met when I was doing the YES program, she started by doing t-shirts, as I said. Now she's doing woodwork, she's making stuff, she's graving on the wooden products she makes. So as I said, she started as a t-shirt brand, and now she's kind of segued into a whole different. She hasn't left her core roots. She still does t-shirts, but now she's other things that she can do as well that bolsters her creative side, but it now allows her to target persons who may not be interested in apparel, but they may want a cutting board, a wooden spoon, stuff like that. So you are not where you start.
That is true. I'm encouraged by that advice myself as an entrepreneur.
Yes, but anyone can check her out on Instagram, Jacorias. That's JACORIA.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So before you go, tell us how we can reach you. Where do we find all this cool odBo stuff?
All right, as I said, is the best way to see everything is on our Instagram, which is at odBo. If unfortunately you don't have Instagram, we're very much accessible. You can just reach out to us at 245-4802. Your code, as I said, is 246. We're in Barbados. Yeah, that's pretty much how you can get to us. And we've got some of everything, and we're constantly growing, still improving 10 plus years in, because there's so much different things that we want to offer. So it's just slowly working up to the point. I'm not sure where we climax at, where is the end, but that's the thing. As I said, maybe we're like Nicola from Jacoria, and the end is actually in a completely different space. Because, as I said, a lot of what I do is following what's happening overseas. And again, Ronnie Fegg from KIF, which actually just installed the first creative director for the New York Knicks. So here it is now. You've kind of segue into a whole different thing. You're still being creative, but in a different
Okay.
space. So who knows where
We'll be
we
in
actually
another
end up
10
in
years,
our
but
lives.
I'm sure you will be around, Jamar, because many businesses don't even last 10 years. So, congratulations to you. Congratulations to your brand. I am very on board with your visions for the future and excited to see where the brand goes. So, we are going to check back with you as time goes on. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your inspiration to other young people like yourself, or even younger than yourself, because you started all of this back then coming out of school. And it is very encouraging for all of us. So thank you for joining us this morning, Jamar, and we hope to have you back in the future.
Thank you for viewing. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and bookmark our websites. If you are a professional interested in contributing to the discussion, please call or email us at the contact information on your screen. Until next time, keep innovating. All the very best from the Rethink family.